On this episode of the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast, we're going to be talking about young, misunderstood love on the song She's Just a Baby. And joining me to discuss this unreleased controversy era track is Micah Simpson from the Purple Underground. Welcome back to the show, Micah.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me back.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Always glad to have you. It's been we were just talking, it's been a whole year since we last talked about Le Grind from the Black Album. So, we kind of took a step back from that. That was an unreleased album for several years until it finally got the official release in 1994. And now we're talking about another, at least as of the recording of this episode, still unreleased song, She's Just a Baby. And we've, like I said, taken a step back. We're back in 1981 now, in the early 80s. And Prince is not yet a megastar. He's getting there, getting closer to becoming, that breakthrough pop artist that he would soon become. But as of now, he's doing his thing. He's making album after album, gaining some popularity on, black radio stations and R&B charts and dance clubs. People know him, but he just hasn't quite broken through to the mainstream yet. And She's Just a Baby is assumed to be recorded, in early 1981, according to Prince Vault, at his Kiowa Trail home studio in Chanhassen. So this is the house he just moved into after living at the North Arm Drive house in Orono, Minnesota, where he recorded some Dirty Mind era songs. Mm-hmm. But apparently that house wasn't, good enough for him, so he moved on up into the Kiowa Trail home, bigger and better. He was able to get his home studio built here, and he wrote a lot of songs at this Kiowa Trail home. It was a very productive location for him, and from like 81 to 82 for sure, and maybe even into 83. So, Micah, She's Just a Baby, coming from the controversy era. This is an era that, you chose this song. What do you like about this era, this song in particular, as to why you maybe chose it to do for this episode?
Well, as far as the era, the controversy album is sort of special to me because that was the first Prince album that I actually owned. So, and I actually, because at the time when my father bought me the album, we were supposed to buy Purple Rain. So I wasn't even familiar with none of the material on the controversy album. So, but regardless, when I first heard it, it just blew me away, and so and it's really sort of like the bridge to 1999, which ultimately is what made him a crossover star. He wasn't the global superstar yet, but that really got his foot in the door.
Yeah, he was getting closer.
Absolutely. And as far as the song She's Just a Baby, I just when you ask me what songs to what songs do I want to pick, and I know a lot of people are gonna have their hands in getting a lot of the a lot of the more popular ones that people in the Prince community are familiar with. I just thought about maybe just doing something, something from that period, and I for the most part I actually like the song. So
I think it's an underrated song for sure.
Yeah, I love the vocals on here, and everything. I actually remember the first time I heard it, and it was. If you want me to tell you the story real quick.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
Everybody's got unique stories about when they heard unreleased material.
Right,
right. I know nowadays it's so easy. You just read about a song in one of Dwayne's books or something like that, and then you look it up on YouTube and you can find it. But that's not the way it always was, right? So it's a lot easier now to hear unreleased Prince music if it has leaked out of the vault. that is not always the way it was. We didn't have all of these books and websites dedicated to like covering all of Prince's material, so people would know exactly what existed. So I'd love to hear how you heard of this song, A, heard of it, and then B, heard it. So please share.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And yeah, you're right. It's back in the day, it was different. Now I will say that I sort of caught on to Prince bootlegs a little late, I guess maybe, but because I think I was about 16, and this is back in the mid '90s when I first discovered what a bootleg was. So, but it definitely opened up my eyes to there's another world or another dimension in Prince's musical world. You know what I mean? So, and so it was just like, wow, okay, there's different outtakes, there's unreleased songs that I was never aware of. So I kept on trying to figure out, well, how do I go about getting some of these unreleased songs and things like that. So, but back then, which I'm sure you could relate to this, a lot of the local record stores, the mom and pop stores, they would have those bootlegs, and so
you're not going to find it at Sam Goody or Best Buy. You gotta go to the mom and pops for sure.
Exactly. You gotta go to the one that's right in your neighborhood or several blocks away. Yeah. So yeah, but after talking to a few people who worked in some of the local record stores, they would say, well, look, they would tell me to go check out this spot. So one of the stores that I went to was a store that was in Cincinnati, particularly in the Sharonville area, for the listeners who are from Cincinnati or even Ohio. So there was a store called CD Warehouse, and they had a whole bunch of Prince bootlegs. And so I went there, and I ordered a bootleg. So while I went there to purchase the bootleg that I ordered, I went to go check out some of the bootlegs that they had in store. So one of the bootlegs that they had was it was called Prince Power or something like that. And then I think the very first song on there was She's Just a Baby. So now the sound quality was atrocious, but I could still listen and hear the essence of the genius, and so I was just like, wow, man. So again, when you're hearing something new, and it just further just opens your eyes, like, man, it's like, because at that time I'm thinking, man, I got so many, Prince stuff, but it's like, man, I haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Yeah. You kind of assume that all the good stuff made the album. I mean, that's the logical thought process. Is like, well, if it's unreleased, therefore it must not be good enough to have been put on an album.
Right.
With Prince, that's not always the case. Sometimes it just never fit a project, or he just lost interest in finishing it properly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why songs remain unreleased, and it absolutely does not mean that it wasn't of quality to make the final album, any album configuration.
Right.
It's just a myriad of reasons why unreleased songs remain unreleased or remained in the vault. So once you kind of figure out, like, Prince unreleased is different than most people's unreleased.
Yeah.
Everybody else's unreleased is unreleased for a reason.
Right.
Like a quality reason, or just not quite up to snuff. From a lyrical standpoint, from a performance standpoint, from a musical standpoint. And not to say everything that Prince ever wrote that ended up in the vault is like A-list material, because it's not.
Right.
But there are obviously certain songs where, and I'm obviously preaching to the choir. We all know this now, but I would suppose like in the '90s when you're still, he's still actively releasing an album a year, give or take.
Yeah.
And you got like in '96, 3-disc Emancipation set coming. I was like, how much more could there be?
Right.
The answer is a shit ton. So we've got
Right.
so much unreleased music. So you could buy a bootleg one day and get wowed by half a dozen or more songs, and like you did, place an order for another one, get that one, and just have a whole another dozen or so songs that completely blow you away. And so it's all just so impressive to me as a non-musician and a non-artist to think of the amount of material he made and how much of it truly is of quality. Now,
Right.
going back to your comment about the sound quality. Now, the full version that's still out there isn't a great sound quality even. So
Right.
I don't know if it's still that version that you heard back in the mid '90s. I'm not sure, but the sound version that I hear online, that's the full 4 some minutes long. It's pretty rough.
Yeah. I think when I was able to purchase a bootleg that actually had it, the quality was still pretty bad, but I think it was slightly better than the one that I heard at CD Warehouse. And then years later, somebody had sort of cleaned it up, but they don't play the complete version. It sort of fades out after I think right after the chorus or right before the second verse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the second verse. It starts fading out.
Exactly.
Now I know exactly which one you're talking about, and that sounds really clean,
right,
compared to the full version. And I'll be sharing that the clean version as much as I can here on the show because that sounds good. But then eventually, like you said, it fades out, and we don't get all the rest of the lyrics. So then I'm eventually going to have to switch over to the rougher version, the one that isn't completely full. I have no idea why that cleaned up version fades out too soon like that. It's like, damn it.
I know.
Where's the rest of it?
Exactly. I mean, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, yes. I was like, yes. And then once I'm listening to it and it fades out, I'm like, no.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, man. So,
yeah.
But it
playing a cruel trick on us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But nonetheless, I still enjoy it, and I actually tell some friends of mine that I've met on Facebook who are a lot younger than me, but they're aware that Prince, had a lot of unreleased material, and they're aware there are bootlegs out there, but it's like they heard of it, but they don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like I try to tell them that whole bootleg world, it's just a totally different. It's another dimension in Prince's world, and it's like you gotta be ready for it. You know what I'm saying? So like,
it's a rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole for sure.
Yes, exactly. It's a rabbit hole, and if you don't have the attention span for it, you can't hang. So that's just pretty much in a nutshell. So yeah, back in the day, I was just so fascinated by it, and plus I had the attention span, for it and things like that. And once I started figuring out and started learning like a lot of these bootlegs, the titles and things like that. Thanks to this one website that I found on the internet back in the day. I can't remember the exact name, but it was like the guide to Prince bootlegs, but it was just a plethora of bootlegs. It just, I was just blown away. And I remember the cool thing about the website was that they would give you the title of the bootleg. They would show you what the cover looked like, the image, and they would actually rate it just in case if you're interested in it, or they'll tell you, oh yeah, this is a must-have, this is a classic, or or they'll say, yeah, this is poor, or it sucks. You don't want this, or whatever.
For diehards only, kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing that story, Mike. I appreciate the perspective and looking back at how people are able to kind of hear these songs again in the 90s. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have the access, and we'd also had very few written books about it. So it's not like you were reading about songs that existed and just like looking for specific songs. You just got what you got. You didn't know how much was still out there unless you started doing more research and asking around. But She's Just a Baby. Again, this is the song we're going to be doing. It's basically a really kind of slow jam, R&B type ballad. It's a love song of sorts. And the essence of the song, and you can kind of glean from the title, She's Just a Baby. It's a song about a love between a man and a younger woman, and how he's trying to explain or maybe even justify the relationship to others looking on it and maybe judging it a bit based off of the age gap. And anyone who has followed Prince's romantic relationships over his career is not unaccustomed to this age gap issue popping up, especially in the late 80s and into the 90s, when Prince was now like in his early 30s and he was dating younger women like Anna Garcia and Maite Garcia. And, the age gap there is like 10, 12 years. Looked at by some, especially nowadays, and even then, as something that you would have to, kind of look at it with a little bit of concern if you thought, side eye, exactly. Like, what is the purpose of it? Is the purpose of it because he just likes younger women? Does he like the age gap, or has the thing for that because he is able to potentially control women who are significantly younger than him? I don't know. We're not going to get into the psychological parts of that, of that part of his personality and his preferences, his romantic preferences. Right. But this song is, in essence, kind of like that. It's kind of explaining and justifying, his love for a younger woman. Now, I assume, and maybe you don't, but I assume who this song is supposedly written about. Do you want to share if you know, Micah?
Sure. I've read over the years that it is about Susan Moonsey from the group Vanity Six. Yeah, that's pretty much who the inspiration behind it. And from also I've read that she was 16 maybe when they dated, or
when they first started dating. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I started thinking, well, because she was born, I found out that she was born in 1964, and that this song was recorded in early 81. So she was 17, I believe, when he recorded this.
Yeah, so, and Prince would have been about 22 because he wouldn't have been 23 yet.
Great, exactly.
So I mean,
okay, yeah.
It's
We're
only
on the same page.
It's only 4 or 5 years, when you think about it. Like, but the further away you get from those teen years and early 20 years, those 4 or 5 year age gaps is no big deal. Like, I'm in my late 40s. For me to date somebody for 4 or 5 years younger than me, I'd be dating somebody in their early 40s. I mean, who cares, right?
Exactly.
But it always does, like you said, cause a little side eye when that person is still in high school, still a minor. And so if that is true, if the song was written with Susan in mind, it makes complete sense based off of the timing of his relationship with her. Vanity Six wasn't yet a thing. He was still, the first incarnation of Vanity Six was the Hookers, and the Hookers had Susan in it. She's the only one that stayed from the Hookers, which never really got off the ground, to Vanity Six. The other two members of the Hookers, one was Susan's sister, and the other one was his assistant at the time, Jamie Shoup. So that didn't happen. But then when Prince finally, figured out that he did want to do this girl group thing the next year in '82 with Vanity Six, including Brenda and of course Vanity, she would have been like 18 at the time,
Right.
technically of age. But the interesting thing about Susan is that Prince knew and was very aware of her age, how young she was, and really played that up with her image throughout, the Vanity Six, Apollonia Six lifespan. She was the one that was hugging the teddy bear. She was the one that kind of always played like younger. She had that, kind of stage presence, and she was like the innocent, doe-eyed ingenue who did have that schoolgirl kind of appearance to her on stage. Right. That was part of her persona, and like holding the teddy bear was part of her image and part of her shtick as a member of those groups. So it was definitely a conscious decision to kind of make her the quote unquote jailbait of the group, even when she was of age, because it was all image, and it was all just part of the. I mean, these women don't normally walk around wearing camisoles and there's sleepwear all the time.
Yeah.
It was their stage. It was their stage image. It was what they did to garner attention and also, appeal to a very heavily male fan base. So it worked. It makes complete sense, and it totally worked. The music was banging, of course, because it was written by Prince and produced by Prince. But their stage presence was all about, pushing the sexuality, and Susan's job was to straddle that fine line between jailbait and the male fantasies of being with somebody potentially younger than them. And whether or not it worked or whether or not it was appropriate, I guess we can debate it and look back on it 40 years later and say, a little bit skeevy, and definitely wouldn't have worked today. I mean, Prince would have been completely raked over the coals for something like this if this was his, plan in 2022 for a girl group, to have one of them pretend to be much younger than they actually are. So different time, I guess. We can chalk it up to that, but but still, if you take all of that kind of squirmy discussion out of the equation about Prince writing a song about a high school girl that he was dating, the song itself I do really enjoy, and I think it's a very pretty, well performed, kind of emotionally naked ballad that Prince sings about. He wasn't really singing songs like this in the Dirty Mind controversy era. Ballads were not a big thing. Like Got a Broken Heart Again is like the only ballad off of Dirty Mind, and it's a song about heartbreak. Controversy's only real ballad is Do Me Baby, and that's a sex jam. So this is more of like a more traditional ballad, something that he would have done in the For You Prince era, or something that might have worked off of the Times debut album as well.
You're right. I was just about to say that it really, as far as the style of the music, it really reminds me of the song "Girl" and more so "Oh Baby." Yeah, so it does remind me of those songs.
Agreed.
Yeah. She's just a baby, but she's my lady, my lover, my only friend. She's just a baby, but maybe she'll understand that I am made of a true love that will never.
It's pretty tender. I'm going to go through the first verse. She's just a baby, but she's my lady, my lover, my only friend. She's just a baby, but maybe she'll understand that I am made of a true love that will never end. I mean, that's like a really nice sentiment, and it's a nice lyrics. You know, it's if you're just taking out the questionable aspects of who he might have been writing it about, just the sentiment of, you know, she's my lady, she's my lover, my only friend, that he has true love for her that will never end. Those are nice sentiments. You know, it's a very soft romantic notion that Prince is singing about here.
Yeah, it's real sweet. It really is. It's definitely a sweet. It shows off the more sweet and tender side of Prince.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's what kind of makes it still endearing, and why we're able to still enjoy the song, you know, this many years later, because it's parts of it are definitely universal, and the whole that she's just a baby part, you know, we'll get here in the next grouping of lyrics. We'll call it the chorus. It basically acts as a chorus.
Right.
But he changes it. He's never really quite repeats it exactly the same like most choruses are.
People don't understand what she sees in an older man. They never stop to think that maybe I'm what she's looking for. They never take the time to look into her mind. They just keep on saying she's just a baby, but maybe one day they will see she's not such a baby. No, baby, she's just in love with me.
But it's people don't understand what she sees in an older man. They never stop to think that maybe I'm what she's looking for. They never take the time to look into her mind. They just keep on saying she's just a baby, but maybe one day they will see she's not such a baby. No baby is she. She's just in love with me. So that's a pretty long quote unquote chorus. A lot of words there, but essentially, like, the theme of the song is presented in this chorus. That people don't get it. People don't understand their love. They don't understand what she sees in somebody that's significantly older. And again, it's really, you know, he's implying that it's not something that he's trying to take advantage of her, or that he's trying to manipulate her, that she's, you know, a smart person.
Right.
They never take the time to look into her mind. They just keep saying she's just a baby. So I think he's trying to say there that if they would take the opportunity to talk to her about it, they would see that she is just as invested, I think, in the relationship as he is. So the power, he's trying to, like, even on the power dynamic. So it isn't just him preying on her. It's more of they have a mutual love and a mutual, you know, even understanding of where they are in the relationship. So you guys just don't get it. Like, anybody who's critiquing this relationship doesn't understand. That's kind of what I'm getting out of the chorus, at least, is him trying to explain that to people.
Yeah, there's, well said. And there's just this mutual strong connection or chemistry that they both have, you know. And I was going to say that I had read that Roy Bennett, he said that Susan was a very sweet and very intelligent girl, and that Prince had a lot of respect for her, and that they had a very great and close relationship. So I think you know, like, these lyrics definitely speak to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You can definitely tell through the reading of the chorus that he's impressed with her in general. And, they just need people who, again, have problems with their relationship, or, questioning Prince's motives, or the man of the song's motives in dating somebody so young, shouldn't worry about it, because he's not taking advantage of her. She is in love with him, and that's what kind of strengthens their bond, I guess. In his mind, is it's not one-sided.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
One thing I noted in this chorus is the way he phrases "no baby is she." Now, I struggled with this because I know for a fact that Prince has done this before, where he reverses the subject of the sentence to put it at the end instead of towards the beginning, where the subject typically would lie. Mm-hmm. Like normally that would be phrased like "she is no baby," but he says "no baby is she," and likely done for the rhyme. With the later line, "she's just in love with me." But I know that he's done this before. My problem is I've done so many of these episodes that I can no longer remember in what song that I've already done, or maybe multiple songs that I've already done, where he's done this kind of like strange little reversing of the words, where the subject is at the end of the song or at the end of the sentence. So if anybody listening can remember a time where Prince does this kind of strange but intriguing rewording of a commonly used phrase or sentence, let me know, because I came to a blank. I could not think of the exact example, and I'm sorry, I didn't want to spend 5 hours trying to go through all the Prince lyrics that I've done so far to figure it out. So I ain't got time for that, But I'd love to know where it was, because it's going to bother me until I figure it out.
Oh man, I might have to try to help you with that one. So
that would be cool, but don't waste too much time on it, Micah.
Yeah, that's a lot of songs to go back on.
Yeah, it is. It is. I know it's one that I've already done an episode on for sure, because I remember talking to whomever I was talking to, and that would be helpful too if I remembered who I was talking to, because then I can narrow it down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he has done this before, where he puts that subject at the end of the sentence, where it kind of feels awkward but works for the song.
Right.
She's just a baby, but she's mine. I know there's something she'll never see. She's just a baby, but baby. She's young, she's the only one that can bring out the man in me. Can you see?
So the next verse is, "She's just a baby, but she's my lady. I know there are some things that she'll never see. She's just a baby, but maybe one day she'll see. Although she's young, she's the only one that can bring out the man in me. Can't you see?" So, like, in this second verse, Micah, what kind of calls out to you as being interesting or worth kind of pointing out?
Well, the one thing I was trying to understand with this verse was when he says, "I know there are some things that she'll never see." That was the part that had me sort of puzzled a little bit. So I was trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, agreed.
So then he says, maybe one day she'll see. So that was another one. But when he says she's the only one that can bring the man out in me, I've noticed the way that he phrases that, the way he sings it, it's like he's really. It almost sounds like he really means it. Like, yeah, like, oh yeah, she brings out the man in me. She's not no, she's not no little girl. She's so.
Right. Yeah, I was also kind of puzzled about the there's some things that she'll never see, but maybe she'll see one day, or one day she'll see. And the only thing and I started like just thinking, jotting things down that came to mind, whether or not they're right, obviously no idea. But I just wonder if this is like the only time where Prince kind of admits like her age is, I wouldn't say a detriment, but just still a place for her to grow and learn. Like maybe there are some things in life that she hasn't experienced yet. She's maybe not as worldly or sophisticated because of, the fact that she's probably at this point in her life never lived on her own. I don't know. And maybe that is just the one time in the song, besides him saying people are pointing out that she's just a baby, that he kind of admits her youthfulness, her age does come with some drawbacks, and potentially it's there. Like maybe one day she will see, but then again, it could mean something completely different, and maybe it's more about the love they have.
Right.
Something she'll never see because she's still figuring Prince out, or I keep saying Prince because he wrote it. Again, this could be a third person. He's the narrator, so whoever the narrator is, whoever's the subject of the song, maybe one day she'll see, what she means to him potentially. Like maybe she doesn't quite see it yet. Maybe she doesn't quite understand the depth of his love for her. And hopefully maybe one day she'll see that as potential alternate interpretation of that line. But yeah, those are just a couple of things I thought of, because that also, like you said, jumped out at me, along with she's the only one that could bring out the man in me. Those are kind of like the key takeaways from that second verse, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then going back to she's the only one that can bring out the man in me. Obviously, she's someone who he strongly has connected with, let's say, in comparison to the previous lover. Maybe this one is doing something for him a lot more than what his previous girlfriends have done.
Maybe.
So, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe just because of how their relationship is. Some relationships build more than take, and so some relationships can be kind of draining. Those are the ones you try to get out of, typically.
Yeah.
Where some are more empowering, and then they build each other. You build each other up, and maybe he feels like she builds him up to the point where he feels more like "quote unquote" man than he's ever felt before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just a way of him expressing that.
Yeah, and then you have those relationships that sort of crash and burn, real quickly. So yeah,
feel stronger with her, maybe. Yeah.
People don't understand what she sees in this moment. Don't they? Everybody needs somebody sometime. I give her all I can, but the people don't give a damn. They just keep on saying she's just a baby, but maybe one day they will see she's not such a baby. No, baby, she's just in love with me.
So then the repeat of the chorus, which I say repeat, but it's mostly new lyrics. People don't understand what she sees in this lonely man. Don't they know everybody needs somebody sometime? I give her all I can, but people don't give a damn. They just keep on saying that she's just a baby, but maybe one day they will see she's not such a baby. No baby is she. She's just in love with me. I like these lyrics. They're really quite poetic. They're pretty, they're beautiful, they're sweet, whatever you want to call it, whatever adjective you want to use. I really do enjoy them. I think he did a good job writing this song, putting words out there. Like, I've done some of these unreleased tracks so far, and the lyrics are kind of just there, I feel like in some songs he would have reworked the lyrics or done something different with some of the lyrics if he had decided to pursue finishing it further. She's Just a Baby feels like a finished song to me, especially from the lyrical standpoint. Like, I don't know what he could have done differently to improve these lyrics or make them clearer, to make his point more clear. I'm not sure he could do anything better, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, they are straightforward lyrics. I mean, it's, pretty much simple and straight to the point, but it works. It's still effective to where he gets his point across with what he's talking about. Yeah, I think as far as like in this verse, obviously it's like when he says people don't understand. So basically, it's pretty problematic for how these people are, how they see his relationship, and he's just I guess he's just trying to get them to see that like we're happy and but yeah, they the people not having it, then they just like
if they're not having it, they're not going to have it no matter what he says.
Right. Exactly.
Like, he could say, yeah, she's in love with me and I love her and I plan to be with her forever, yada yada, but the people who are against or think that this is not appropriate are not going to care what he says. So it's almost like he's screaming at a brick wall, like nobody's going to budge and listen, probably just because he says that she loves him for him, she makes him better, she's not dumb, she's very aware and smart and has agency in this relationship, is what you're supposed to get from the lyrics. Some would of course argue that if you're a minor, you're by definition you're not fully don't have full agency over yourself. I don't know. I mean, 17 is like, you're practically like, oh, so is somebody going to all of a sudden have agency over themselves in 3 months? Let's say she's 17 and in 3 months she turns 18. It's not like a magic wand. Some people are more mature than others. Right. Not all 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds are equally mature. So we all know that as well. So I think where this song is trying to go is he's trying to paint the picture that this woman in the song is more mature than your typical 17-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever age. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. Is he's trying to explain, like, don't worry about it. She knows what she's doing. And she's in love with me. I mean, he repeats that. That's one of the few lines that he does repeat. Maybe someday one day they'll see she's not a baby. She's in love with me. That's the thing he's trying to, that's the point I think he's trying to get across here is, don't worry about it.
Right. And,
mind your business.
Right. Exactly. And I've actually had discussions, with, far as with females who either they have or they know other females who have dated older men, and I guess it just depends on the individual and their circumstances. But I mean, for some, let's say, for example, a 17-year-old will date a 21, 22, 23-year-old because they're more mature. That they bring, I guess they will have more security, and maybe the guys in their age bracket are just immature, or there's just no real chemistry there. So it really, I guess it just depends. I mean, and then you have some females who may have not had a consistent father figure in their life. So then, it just really varies.
It is. It's very individual specific. Like you can't paint this with a broad strokes because every person's different. Like you might find a 17-year-old that the thought of dating somebody 22 is gross to them.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna run the gamut because everybody's different and everybody's got different opinions on how things are, or at least what works for them personally. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I mean, like I'm not here to advocate either way. I'm just, we're here to just try and kind of explain what the purpose of these lyrics and where Prince was at, his head was at this time in 1981 when he wrote this, and try to, again, paint some or provide some perspective around the lyrics and explain where he's coming from with writing the lyrics. I didn't write the song. You didn't write the song. But we're just here to try to explain where we think Prince was going with the song and his explanation of, what the song is about. Right. Now, of course, being that we know more about, the backstory than a lot of people. Like somebody could have just heard the song without knowing anything about Prince dating Susan Moonsey in 1981. And it could just be about any age gap. It could be just about anybody, any older man dating somebody younger. It could be a 35-year-old dating a 22-year-old. It could be a 50-year-old dating a 28-year-old. Right. Anytime that there's an age gap, especially if the man's older than the woman, that is often looked at as with a lot of questionable. People have questionable concerns about the intent of those relationships. Like
Absolutely.
what is he getting out of it? What is she getting out of it? Is it really love, or are they just kind of in a relationship because it works for them in their own unique reasons? And it's not really fair. I mean, people do it all the time. We do it as a society all the time. We look at those older men, younger women relationships with a lot of, I would say maybe concern or we question judgment, question the motives. Like, why is she with him? Oh, it must be for money. Why is he with her? Oh, because he wants arm candy, or, he wants to, thinks that they're going to be better in bed or whatever because she's younger. And it's not really fair to do that. But as a society, we have a tendency to judge those older men, younger women age gaps very harshly.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And again, I'm not going to fall on either side of the fence because I'm not going there. But I'm just putting it out there.
Hey, man! It is what it is.
It is, and you see it all the time. So it's not anything new. It's not like we're uncovering some unexplored areas of our culture. This is something this is a thing that happens in real life. You can find people of all walks of life that engage in consensual relationships where there's a significant age gap, and it is what it is. And you might have your own opinions on it, and that's fine. But that's what this song is essentially about.
Yeah, people find love in different variations. So,
Yeah. And he's hoping in this song, with the chorus being "people don't understand that she's in love with me." I mean, I'm truncating the chorus, but that's in essence because he leads it with "people don't understand," and he ends it with "she's just in love with me."
Yeah.
So you take out all the middle, and people don't understand that she's just in love with me.
Yeah. Now that part, the way he sings, "she's just in love with me," if you really listen to it, it really sounds so. He sounds so soulful, but so sincere. The way that he phrases it. But,
yeah, very sincere.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about this song also, and I love it. I love a good nasty Prince sex ballad as much as anybody else, but he doesn't really go there in this song. Like he doesn't really get nasty in here. He doesn't even make any kind of like double entendre jokes or anything like that you can imply means something dirty or nasty. It's pretty. It's pretty clean. No metaphors. No Little Red Corvette metaphors or anything like that. This is very straightforward. I love her. She loves me. The rest of the world can just, go to hell.
Yeah, and something. Since this was in 1981, and I don't know if you thought about this, but I actually thought about this last night. But since this was early 81, so this is Prince, Dirty Mind, early controversy kind of era. So he's still sort of in that rude boy persona. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if some of these lyrics sort of kind of harken back into like the whole Uptown ideology or mindset, as far as, for example, in Uptown, he says, where I come from, we don't let society tell us how it's supposed to be. So people don't understand, this relationship, with him and this young woman, but he's
our clothes, our hair, we don't care, and that's kind of his attitude. We don't care,
right? So, and I think I think his, well, I'll just say Susan, allegedly, she probably feels the same way, but
that's a good point. Good point. Kind of going against the grain again for in terms of his what societal expectations. Like everybody wants him to date somebody his own age. Well, if he fell in love with somebody that's younger, I guess in his mind and his justification in the song is that it shouldn't matter.
Right.
Like and going back to like his appearance. Okay, well, Prince is supposed to be, a straight man, but he's going to wear panties on stage because it shouldn't matter. In theory, it shouldn't matter. So, yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. And then later on in his career, he would sort of revisit these same themes in the song The Morning Papers, for us, the lines where he says, why does age, what is it? Why is age more than a number when it comes to love?
Yeah, exactly. I actually looked that up as well. You got it right. Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's the same exact sentiment. And good point. Thank you for the segue, because The Morning Papers, as we all kind of assume, was written about Maite. Mm-hmm. It was, came out on the Symbol album, 1992. She was 18 in 92. She was either 17 or 18, depending on what month in 92, right. Of course, because like she was born. Exactly, she wasn't born on January 1st. Mm-hmm. So again, basically the exact same age of somebody that he was kind of starting to pursue or was pursuing, and it's all about him. We gotta wait. She's not quite ready for somebody, but I'm interested in her. We're gonna play this out. Mm-hmm. And people shouldn't care that we might love each other even though she's young, because why is age more than a number? And he says that right in the lyrics. So it's essentially an updated version of this song, which according to Prince Vault, he actually re-recorded and re-performed She's Just a Baby in 1991, which was the time he was recording the Symbol album. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was like, okay, I've got this person in my life where this song would totally make sense and fit in basically what is a somewhat of a concept album that involves, Maite front and center in the narrative of the Symbol album, the princess from Egypt or whatever country she was supposed to be from. But then he probably thought to himself, well, I don't know, maybe I can do something different. And then he came up with The Morning Papers. I don't know. Maybe that's what he decided to do at the end of the day.
But you know what? That's something I'm learning now with a lot of these releases, with a lot of this unreleased material that has been coming out. And then when you hear the different stories from different associated people, it's like when Prince will record a song at a certain period, and then we'll read about it and say, well, such and such was the inspiration behind this, but then he won't release it until 3-4 years later, where somebody else said, well, it was about this person at that particular time in his life. So I kind of wonder when he went back and re-recorded She's Just a Baby, if that's sort of those same sentiments sort of also reminded him of Maite, you know.
Yeah, maybe inspired him to create something completely new.
Or that too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
It could have been like, okay, well, this song that I never released, definitely, when I hear it or think about it, I think of now of Maite, because he's no longer, of course, going to be thinking of Susan in 1991.
Right.
She had been long gone. But then going back and sitting down to re-record it and maybe think about its inclusion on this album, and with Maite involved or mind, he might have been then inspired to just scrap it and do something completely new, even though and keep the same kind of sentiment behind it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's possible. We don't know for sure, of course, but it's certainly possible. We have to know the exact dates. Like, did he do the She's Just a Baby, rewrite, re-record, and then did Morning Papers? Because then that theory makes sense. If he did the Morning Papers first, and then also then try to do She's Just a Baby, then it was probably just a case of him doing two songs with a similar theme, and he picked his favorite of the two. I don't know. Who knows? It could have been it too.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, it's fun to speculate, but until we get those exact recording dates, or actually, you know what? Yeah, with the She's Just a Baby, we don't have an exact recording date of 1991. It just says estimate 1991 or estimated 1991. So, and I haven't heard it. I assume you haven't either.
No, unfortunately, no, I have not heard that. I'm curious because like you said, it most likely he probably went back and reworked it, and so.
Yeah, it probably would have sounded something like "Sweet Baby" from Symbol, like still keeping with that traditional ballad sound.
You're right.
But again, total guess. No idea. I could be wrong. He could have turned it into a club jam for all I know. Club banger.
Maybe that would be interesting. Wow.
Yeah, we'll never. Well, I'm not gonna say we'll never know. I'm just gonna say we don't know as of
yet. Yeah.
You don't know. There you go. I like the optimism.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, Micah, we're pretty much time to wrap up. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about with this song? Anything we haven't mentioned yet that you think is worth bringing up?
Well, I think we covered everything. The only thing I was going to maybe add was, according to Prince Vault, that this was actually for inclusion on the Crystal Ball Volume 2 that they had revealed back at the first Prince celebration that was in June of 2000. But of course that project ended up getting scrapped.
Yep.
But aside from that, for those who never heard it, it is a very, very good song. It's just a very sweet track, and the vocals, the harmonies on there, just superb.
Yeah, Prince really comes off vulnerable in this song to me.
He really does. Yeah.
And that kind of makes it special because he's putting aside some of the the bravado and stuff that he does in his later ballads, like I'm the shit type lyrics. This one's a lot more, I think, personal maybe to him because of the true inspiration behind it.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, Thank you so much, Micah, for joining me on this episode. Can you point people to what you're doing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me again. I really appreciate the invite. Right now, well, as far as the Purple Underground goes, we're actually in the process of getting some videos done. it's some stuff that's in the works. So we're definitely gonna be dropping some more videos real soon. And other than that, you can find me on Facebook at Micah Simpson, and I'm on Instagram at Micah Simpson _CMS. And you can also check out the Purple Underground YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the Purple Underground Entertainment Lounge, and we're also on Instagram. So
Cool.
that's pretty much it. And then let me shout out my Purple Underground comrades, my man, my brother P. Ross, my funk brother Lenny B, and my lovely better half Laura, aka the Good Luck Charm LC. So I just wanted to show them some love.
Gosh, got to shout out the crew, man.
Yeah,
totally get it.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I've been your host, Jason Brenninger. You can find the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube as well. PressRewind.net is the website that I use to host the show. Use Discord for chatting if you're into that platform. And until next time, peace.